noisy!
Welcome back, everyone. This is Overwatchers. We're back. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. I'm sitting here with Patrick Beja, and we're going to talk about Overwatch, even though it's still not back. And man, I'm having a hard time. I need it. I need it, Patrick.
Hey, you know what, Garrett? I have a prediction. Prediction time. Patrick's prediction time. So do you want to hear it?
You're going to make a really safe prediction at this point and say that it's coming next week or the week after?
No, I'm gonna make. Actually, that is not that safe. We don't. It might be pushed to mid-February. We don't know.
That's true. Although next week is the last week of January,
So here's my prediction. You very well know that I'm moving to Finland next week. I'm actually, you might see, actually you don't see them, but there are boxes here and there. We're starting to pack up. It's, moving to another country. It's a whole super complicated thing, of course. And I'm moving next week. And I'm going to wait until the last minute before I disconnect and dismantle my computer. But I predict that the beta is going to come back the day that I disconnect and dismantle my computer.
Oh, gotcha. So you're going with the Murphy's Law prediction.
Exactly.
And thinking it will happen when it is the worst possible time for you.
Yes, and it will obviously be the worst possible time, period, because,
Right. The world needs Patrick Beja in their Overwatch games.
Well, I think the level to which Patrick Beja needs Overwatch is proportionally bigger than any other need in the world. So, yeah, no, I'm seriously feeling the need and the craving right now. It's too long. It's been too long, and I'm trying to fill it with Heroes of the Storm and other games, but it doesn't work. It doesn't. It's not enough. The void is still there. So, can't wait.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it to come back for no other reason than I'm really looking forward to making some videos or just streaming with you, because I have a feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, that there will just be a ton of swearing if we're both on mic playing Overwatch together.
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, my experience in Overwatch, maybe we can talk about this a little bit later after our discussion about attack characters. But my experience has been pretty positive with Overwatch in the beta. So I think rather than swearing, it would be complimenting and kind words. And
I didn't necessarily mean to be incredibly negative swearing, but you're gonna die, and you just strike me as someone like myself that when you die, you just impulsively yell "fuck."
Or maybe I would swear in French. That could be a possibility.
That could be it too, which would to an American like me would sound super fancy.
Well, wait. Well, I'm going to swear right now, and you'll tell me if that sounds fancy.
All right, I'm going to close my eyes and get in the zone.
Imagine, Parisian street with people walking around with scarves, drinking wine, eating cheese, and all of a sudden, mais putain de merde, quel connard!
Yeah, that sounds fancy, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right.
Well, we talk about in World of Warcraft, we make the jokes about racial passives. I think the French racial passive is when you swear, you still sound fancy. You can't help it.
That is possibly the worst racial passive to have, but
I think
I'll take it.
Well, it's hard to be as good as the human passive in World of Warcraft. So it's tough. It's tough. But you're correct, sir. We are here today to finish our 4-episode stint of discussing the 4 classifications of heroes, and we're going to round it out with attack, which is a full 6 heroes. Because last week we did support, and which is the smallest bracket of heroes with only 4. So we're which is good because Kaplan has retreated back to his, I'm going to call it the Overwatch cave now that I know what the game is called. Previously, I thought he was just in a cave somewhere making a game because we hadn't seen him for so long. But we haven't seen him. He hasn't come out and told us anything. We don't know when the beta is coming back. We can only hope it's the day Patrick unplugs his computer. Now,
Well, the other big question, by the way, is will Jeff Kaplan's beard will it have grown? Will he have shaven it? But that is also a mystery that we'll have to wait to find out about.
that's true.
So yeah, attack.
Yeah, let's kick it off with Genji, the cyber ninja, the clearly, at least to me, in terms of how he is designed, a nod to Metal Gear Solid. I mean, that costume, man, it looks straight out of a Kojima game.
It does.
And he has like Raiden's jumpsuit with like a Zone of the Ender's head.
It's very well. It is Japanese. He is Japanese. So, but it is definitely the one that people gravitated towards before he was announced. He was in a couple of illustrations, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, the green cyber ninja dude! He looks so awesome!" And I have to say, having played him for a big part of the beta, it's a good thing I met my wife and married her before Genji was released, because I love him so much I could have married him instead. I love playing Genji.
I was raising my eyebrow thinking, is he about to say that he wants to marry a fictional character? And that's exactly where you went with it.
Yes, because he is awesome. I absolutely adore him. Do you want to go over the abilities?
Certainly. We can run through it real fast. And you can talk about playing him, because Genji, for me, falls in that category of a character that I always die to, that I'm always just shaking my fist at and going, Genji! But when I try playing him, I am terrible. I'm total garbage. And I just can't seem to make this hero work. Also, I didn't really breed him a fair shake. Maybe tried him like 3 times, didn't do well, and just decided to go back to Pharah. But anyway, he has cyber agility. That's his passive ability. It allows him to climb walls and to double jump, more or less. So he's a very mobile hero, very good at getting behind enemy lines and ruining my day. He throws shurikens. That's on your primary fire. You're gonna like throw 3 stars in a straight line burst really fast. And the alt fire kind of throws them out in a wide spread with them all in line. But again, it's just 3 stars.
And the difference there is for the quick 3 inline burst, it's a little bit slower. They have a little bit of travel time, so it's not instant. But also, it's a little bit slower as you repeat that move than the wide line spread. So if you're really close to an enemy, or if you're in panic mode and you want to make sure you spray as much as possible, you're going to switch to the alt fire. And if you're trying to precisely almost snipe someone, then you're going to be using the primary fire. But they serve a different function even in damage, because in theory, if all 3 alt fire shuriken hit, it's going to be higher DPS because you can do it faster.
Right. It's a lot less likely with your kind of your wide spread that you're going to land all 3 stars on the same target. I don't think there's anyone that wide. Maybe
well, you have to be really close, basically. Right. If it's super close quarter, and it can happen, especially if you're, you got in. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, there's a lot more options for close quarters combat with Genji. However, as he is wielding a katana, he has another ability called Deflect, where he literally deflects projectiles and sends them back where they came.
Almost all of them. There are a few that do not get deflected, but most of them do, including some of the ultimates. The one that comes to mind is Tracer's ultimate, the Pulse Bomb, which you can actually throw back at her if she throws it to you.
Which is really nuts, precise. Right? Coming from the school of like Halo, like a sticky bomb, there's just nothing you can do other than don't get hit by it. Like if that thing touches you, it's stuck, you are dead. But Tracer, if you're playing Genji, just like, nope, it's yours now. Enjoy that. It's wonderful. I mean, you feel like Genji has such a high level potential for feeling like the biggest badass, I think, of any of the heroes in Overwatch. Anyway, also he has an attack called Swift Strike, which I believe is on shift if you're playing on PC. So it feels like it fits in that mobility kind of pod. What's the word I'm looking for? Mobility section. I don't know. But he dashes forward, slashes with the sword, and he actually passes through the opponent. And what I didn't know upon researching last night, haven't played a lot of Genji, if you get a kill with Swift Strike, it resets its cooldown. You can just use it immediately afterwards.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
So cool.
And go over the Dragon Blade, and then I'll talk about the strategy for playing him.
Yeah, so Dragon Blade, for basically a short window, Genji can just one-shot kill opponents with his sword.
Yeah, usually it's not all one-shot kills. It's usually two sword strikes. Obviously, if it's against a tank, it's going to take a lot more. But it's if the hero is damaged, it's going to be one. I think it does 100 and something.
Gotcha.
Damage.
So it's massive damage.
Yeah.
So, gotcha. Okay, cool. Because again, I was researching it last night, and there's not. I have yet to find, and if someone can send this our way, mailoverwatchers@gmail.com, MAIL Overwatchers. I've yet to find any place with actual figures on the abilities.
There is a spreadsheet.
Is there? Okay. Because all of the fan sites and the official website, it's just flavor. Well, it tells you what it does, but it doesn't give you the exact information. It doesn't tell you cooldown. Doesn't tell you how long it lasts. Doesn't tell you how much damage it does.
So where is it? Enjoy. I just found the Reddit post. The spreadsheet is obviously out of date because it used to be a different thing,
right?
But let me see if I can find Genji here. Anyway, there are numbers. I can't remember exactly what does what, but there are places where you can find that information.
Gotcha. And like you said, it's very likely out of date if it's sitting on just a Reddit spreadsheet. And I wouldn't be surprised to see figures tweaked with when the beta comes back up. Not necessarily for Genji, but I'm sure some characters will be tweaked.
Oh, the one thing I'm really looking forward to is reading the patch notes for when the beta returns. It's like, things changed.
It's gonna be a long episode following that patch.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, the way you play Genji is somewhat similar to the way you play Tracer. Basically, he is incredibly mobile. He's very good at harassing the enemy team, and as we know, the attack role is supposed to infiltrate the enemy line, go behind enemy lines, and take care mostly of the defense heroes so that your team can progress. So your role is to go and seek out, especially as Genji or Tracer, to go and seek out the enemies that are entrenched and take care of them. And Genji is a character that I think it's the first time in any game that I started out with a character. I always suck at every game, but with this one, I worked on him so much that by the end of it, I could really achieve things that the things I had in my mind that I wanted to do and be a pretty good player. I would go with 10, 15 kill streaks without dying, obviously, and things like that. And it feels really great. And the way you play Genji is that you infiltrate, you shoot a few shurikens, and then when you've killed your enemy, or not, once they realize you're here and you're a little bit squishy, so maybe you don't want to keep the confrontation going, you escape. And you have so many means of moving, you're so mobile that you can double jump and then climb on a wall where there is no way anyone is going to be able to follow you. So if you can manage to get away, then you're fine. And you have the dash, which unlike Tracer's teleport ability, can allow you to dash in the air as well. So you can basically double jump, dash upwards, and grab a ledge that is so high. Obviously, again, no one is going to be able to follow you there. So you do that, you know the map really well, so you're going to go around a corner, take another path, and come back from behind to the enemy you were just harassing. And, when they see you coming, or once they realize they're attacking you, they turn around, they're like, oh, holy crap, it's Genji, I have to shoot him. Then you use your deflect to return their shots to them. And once they realize, oh crap, he's deflecting. Okay, I'm going to stop shooting. Your swift strike, your dash is probably back up. So you dash through them. Maybe you kill them. If you kill them, you can dash again. If you didn't kill them, then you're somewhere else, and it takes them a couple of seconds to realize where you are. And you've jumped again a couple of times, and you've escaped through another little path that they are not going to realize you've taken. So it's kind of the the ideal way things go when you're playing Genji, but when it works out, and finally, you've escaped a couple of times and you have your ultimate, you sneak into the back of the enemy's line and you engage your ultimate and you start slashing people here and there everywhere, and you slash someone, you use the strike, you slash again, your strike is back up, you slash again. It's the best feeling in the world. It feels amazing. And Genji, well played, can be such an annoyance to the enemy team. It's almost as bad as Tracer. Almost.
feeling a little. There's something hidden beneath what you just said. In terms of your opinion of Tracer, I think.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings towards the Brit.
I'm right there with you. Well, yeah, Genji, I feel like they absolutely nailed the essence of feeling like a badass ninja. You drop in, startle your enemies, deflect their attacks, and murder them, and then escape.
Yeah,
maybe the same way you
really
came in,
perfect.
maybe not. So
I love a lot of the heroes in Overwatch, but I think this one is the one I love the most at this point.
yeah, they've done a good job, especially with some of the obvious archetypes. Like Genji is the ninja, well, and we're about to talk about McCree, and I feel like they nailed the cowboy aesthetic with McCree.
Yeah.
It's all about his six-shooter. So let's talk about McCree. One of the heroes I was the most excited to play. I do enjoy him. It didn't end up sticking with him as much as I thought I did, but I do still really enjoy playing him. His main gun is his six-shooter, the Peacekeeper. Primary fire fires a single shot. Alt fire fans the hammer and just fires all remaining bullets that are sitting. You have 5 bullets left. That's how many bullets you're going to burst out. Then you need to reload. Luckily, he can combat roll, which is a nice little movement ability to dodge out of the way. And when you're rolling, he just reloads the gun. So you go into a roll, you come up, you can blow someone's face off.
It's a little bit. The role feels like it's a little bit too short for my taste. For an attack character, I feel like McCree lacks a little bit of mobility. He's probably one of the. He is the most static attack character, right?
Yeah, he. I wanna liken him to Raynor in Heroes of the Storm, because here, like Raynor in Heroes, he survives and he escapes just by not dying. Because he doesn't have any real movement ability. Now, McCree at least has a little bit of a role, so you can juke your opponent, maybe make them miss a few attacks, and then you're ready to attack again. I feel like McCree survives by just killing the people who are trying to kill him.
Again, very consistent with the fantasy of the cowboy.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. He also has a flashbang. He throws a grenade, and it blinds people that it hits, which, once again... It's like, well, I can't escape, so you're blind and now you're dead. Enjoy. Have a good time. Thank you for trying to attack me.
It's very short range, but it also incapacitates. Basically, the blind is not that you can't see; it's that you're immobilized. You're stunned.
You're kind of stunned for a moment or two.
Yeah, for a second and a half, I guess, something like that.
Yeah, and so for the most part, McCree is kind of a mid to close range hero. Now, not as close range as someone, say, like Reaper, who's just wielding shotguns, so it's clearly better in that scenario. But McCree kind of excels, where he can have a corner to duck behind, and then jump back out from behind it and start firing again. He was at one point incredibly strong at long range. He may have well has been a sniper without a scope, but they made some balance changes and reeled him back into where I'm assuming they wanted him to be, and they also said that they wanted him to be, which is more of a mid-range hero. Until he gets his ultimate Deadeye, which you've probably seen it. I mean, for a short period, you can just mark all the enemies in your sight, and afterwards, just shoot all of the marked enemies dead. They just die if they haven't moved behind line of sight. This is a wonderful example of one of the things I feel like you and I have both been complimenting in terms of Overwatch is these audio cues that bring upon a reaction on the field. And with McCree, it's definitely one of them. When you hear him start his Deadeye, when you hear the whistle and you see the tumbleweeds come out, you're just like, just get behind something. I don't care what it is. I just need to get behind it. What's the duck button? What's the duck button? Oh my God.
It's really funny. You can have sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 members of a team running towards an objective, and then you hear the little whistle going off, and everyone is like, holy crap, and turns around and, starts ducking and covering. It's really fun. And sometimes it takes a while to understand where the thing is coming from as well. So you're like, oh crap, where is Spike? Oh, I'm just going to run. And you just, turn back.
That is the interesting kind of balancing of the Deadeye Ultimate is while McCree is focusing, he's completely vulnerable. You can kill him before the marking period ends and he starts firing. But you're also petrified to try and take the few precious seconds it takes to find where he is and shoot him. Which I dig. I dig that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's really fun, especially since McCree controls when he activates the ultimate. So I think it's a maximum of, I can't remember, 5 or 10 seconds. But if he decides that he activates it after 2 seconds, then that's absolutely okay. And he does that and then regains control of the character. But he could be sitting there for 10 seconds, walking very slowly, trying to get to the to the enemies
I wish,
many as possible. And there's also this sort of gamble factor where you want to get more than a couple. You want to get 3 or 4, and the fantasy being that you get 5 or 6, of course. And you're like, oh, just a little bit more, I can get all of them, and then boom, you're dead. So yeah, it's really well balanced.
When you're playing McCree, I have this. You kind of hold your breath, just like, okay, let's get him. Don't die, don't die, don't die. Okay, 3's good. 3's good. You just you have to. It's this gamble you take, which is good. Apparently, also, another thing I didn't know until I started researching the hero last night, I guess the targets get marked faster if they have less health.
Ah, well, that I didn't know at all.
Nah, I didn't either. It said it on multiple fan sites, so I'm just going to say that that's correct.
I'm sure it is.
But I enjoy McCree. He feels like a cowboy. Like you said, he seems like to have a pretty generic, like, I don't want to say generic, but basic kit. He's just all about shooting for the most part. Shooting and walking. His role's not going to move you very far. But at the very least, because one of my biggest concerns going into McCree was it's a revolver. Revolvers in games are notoriously slow to reload. But with that combat role, they've alleviated that. And even his regular reload isn't obscenely long. It's kind of like the godlike way Master Chief reloads a shotgun. It's like if anyone else tried to reload a shotgun, it would take them multiple minutes, but just slam it in there. Let's talk about Pharah. Or do you want
just one last question about McCree? What do you think his belt buckle means? Very important.
Oh, BAMF. I have no idea what BAMF could mean. No clue whatsoever.
So I think, can we swear? You said something.
Yeah, I thought when we started this show, we agreed that it was.
Oh, we said we could swear?
Yeah, I think it's marked explicit on iTunes. So.
Oh, is it? All right, cool. Well, I'm pretty sure it means badass motherfucker.
That's exactly what it means. I thought you were making a joke.
Oh, no,
that's the only thing I know BAMF to mean.
Okay, so it is badass motherfucker.
Okay, gotcha.
And
so
he has a cigar as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Everyone in the chat room. I love in the chat room, they're both editing out the word ass, but fucker isn't edited in Twitch chat. What's going on?
That is strange.
Yeah. I want to, Fenender in the chat room is just yelling Samuel L. Jackson, and now I want a Samuel L. Jackson skin for McCree where he looks like his character from Hateful Eight.
I haven't seen it yet. No spoilers.
Spoiler alert, it's really good.
All right.
Or actually, no, it's really bad. I'm going to set your expectations low, so your brain will just be blown to the back of the auditorium. But when you actually go see it,
I'm not always a fan of Tarantino, so.
Oh, then maybe you won't like it because it's Tarantino as all get out.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Pharah instead.
Let's do that. One of my favorite heroes. This is the probably after Bastion, after my required initial love affair with Bastion, because I think most people gravitate to Bastion immediately. At least that was in my circle. Outside of you, I believe, Patrick. I think you didn't really spend much time with him.
Yeah.
But I landed on Pharah, and I left. The beta went down with Pharah still probably being my comfort pick. It's like, let's just. I don't know. We've got a healer. We've got a tank. I don't really need to fill anything. I'll just go with Pharah. Let's do this. She. I mean, when Overwatch was debuted at BlizzCon 2014. I thought Pharah was the coolest looking hero. I mean, she's got basically a mini Gundam suit. She can fly all over the place. She's all about rockets. Just so damn cool. And it turns out she actually is that cool to play. Highly mobile, a lot of flying around. Really dig it. So her passive ability is hover. If you jump and hold it down, you will very slowly ascend, and you'll see a fuel meter kind of come up. We can go from F to E, and when it runs out, you start falling back down again. It does, however, it kind of just refills just fast enough where you can more or less keep your current elevation once you get it to the bottom.
Not quite, but you fall very slowly.
Incredibly
you
slowly.
sort of stagger your fall, and you're going to stay in the air a long time.
Right, and if you pair this with one of the slanted roofs that you cannot actually stand on, you can stay there indefinitely if you're good with your movement keys and just holding down the space bar. It's a nice little tip and trick if you haven't played Pharah before.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's great. I just stay up at on the top of one of the pagoda roofs on Hanamura and just snipe people.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean.
Yep.
Oh, so you can it actually works. So you fly a little bit and then you land and you fly and you land and
yeah, because it keeps you from falling down, and if you're on the front slope of it and you're kind of holding the back button, like the back movement key, and holding down spacebar, you more or less stay in the exact place with maybe a foot of head bob, so you need to compensate it for it. But you're also shooting rockets. You're just trying to land near your target. You're not trying to hit your target dead on.
True.
It's a nice thing to do. So she's got a rocket launcher, shoots rockets. That's about it. The thing I think makes her the most fun is her jump jet ability. You hit shift, you just boost incredibly high into the air. I have found the invisible ceiling of many a map with Pharah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
I haven't played her that much, so I didn't. But
if you're doing the thing where I'm talking about, where you're hovering above a roof and you hit it again, it's very easy to find the maximum height you can get to on a map.
Right.
So that's great. You pair it with hover, you're able to stay very high up in the air and get a very good vantage point of the area around you and do your attacks. Just light it up with rockets. Has another attack called Concussive Blast. Fires a wrist rocket. Looks very Boba Fett, although I don't think Boba Fett has a wrist rocket. He has a wrist flamethrower. Sorry, everyone. Star Wars nerd. But is it not the rocket that comes out? Maybe not. No. The rocket comes off of his jetpack, which you never actually see in the movie. Right. You see Django do it, though.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But so the concussive blast feels like the most useless ability in the game. It's not completely useless, but the use cases are so small. I mean, I didn't find many. Is that the case?
I just tend to spam it for extra damage. It's an extra rocket.
Right. But you don't use the knockback ability for specific stuff, right? The knockback is too small anyway. So
it is a pretty small knockback, but you can keep pretty good zone control of a corridor exit. So if you're just firing this thing blindly into a door, it's very hard for people to actually breach it and come out and join the fight.
Okay.
But yes, it's a pretty small area. You have to damn near hit your target dead on for this knockback to occur. However,
and even the knockback is small. It's like a couple of meters. It's not like you're going to knock them back enough that it's going to change much.
Right. It's just it's disruptive, is what it is. Because anytime you're displacing a character, you're screwing up their aim.
I guess, yeah. I can see that.
The other important thing about her Concussive Blast wrist rocket is that it deals more damage to shields and barriers.
That is also a piece of information I didn't have.
Right. So your characters that are generally easier to hit, like a Reinhardt or a Bastion, it's a pretty effective attack against them.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. And then finally, her ultimate, Barrage. You've probably seen this in videos. It's just a massive salvo of rockets. One of the coolest looking ultimates in the game. But the important thing to know about this is it locks her position wherever she currently is, including mid-air. You will just stay exactly where you are once you activate this and fire a ton of missiles until the ultimate is over. So you are incredibly vulnerable when you're using Barrage, but you're also incredibly deadly. The damage output from this is massive.
I think this is one of the ultimates that looks the coolest initially, and then very quickly you realize that it's not as easy to use as you might think. We were talking about McCree just a second ago and his ultimate that could be interrupted. Pharah's ultimate can also be interrupted, and as soon as someone knows what to look for and what to do when they hear it, which is often just get out of the way. But if they turn around and shoot you, the problem is usually you use the ultimate relatively far from your targets, and you still have a somewhat narrow cone of effect for the barrage of rockets.
They go more or less where you're looking. I mean,
yeah,
they're not incredibly accurate, but it's a small area where they actually land.
Right, which is probably about a circumference of a couple of characters wide. So if you have another character that is 10 meters away and they look up at you, they can absolutely aim and shoot you down as the ultimate is going. So you have to be very aware of everything that's happening, and it's not as easy to use as you might think, but it looks incredibly cool.
Right, absolutely. It's you have to be very sure there's not a sniper that you haven't already dealt with.
Right.
Because what you want to do with this is you want to get it into a group of enemies, because it can kill multiple people very easily if they're clustered up, maybe trying to take a point or escorting the payload. But you want to have a good sense of your surroundings. If you just immediately start going for the three guys that are pushing the payload and you're not paying attention to the Widowmaker in the corner, that Widowmaker is just going to shoot you in the head, and you're going to look like a total goon.
And obviously, I had one of those games where they were clamped up around the payload, and I just showed up and I was like, oh my god, my ultimate's out, my ultimate is up, just press the button, hope for the best, and I killed like 4 of them instantly. One was left, another one was left with half their life. I shot a rocket, complete luck, in their face, and then went for the last one and killed them too. It was like incredible. I tweeted it and I was like, oh my god, it's so amazing. And that was fantastic.
It feels good. The danger you run is waiting way too long to use it, to try and get that perfect scenario. If you can land 2 kills with it, it's worth it. Just go for it.
And that's the case for most ultimates usually. If you can manage to affect a couple of enemies or teammates, it's probably worth doing. And of course, I'm, bragging with that time where I actually wiped the entire team with my Pharah ultimate. But there were, multiple dozens of other times where I went, justice, raise,
Yeah, me too.
And,
and that's where I thought you were leading when we were like, well, this ultimate off the bat is one of the coolest looking ones in the world, but actually it can lead to you feeling like the biggest loser ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just, oh man, look how awesome I'm being, and 1 bullet, I'm dead. It's like someone just shot a duck. You just kind of flutter out, and the dog from Duck Hunt comes up and picks you up. It's rough. But I dig Pharah. Clearly a hero that prefers being kind of out in wide open spaces. You don't want to be in a corridor. Although I did have, if we're going to share awesome barrage stories, I did have one. I don't even remember what map it was. I think it's one where you have to move through a hangar. And I was kind of forced into a hallway for a moment, and 3 guys just kind of appeared in front of me. I'm like, all right, I'm using barrage in a hallway. And it worked out really well. I wish I could have seen the other end of that. We were just looking at like a small doorway in a hallway and just seeing hundreds of rockets just fly out of it and murder your friends. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. Let's talk about Reaper. Speaking of murdering your friends. Reaper, the other bad guy, other than Widowmaker in the original cinematic. Everyone's making masks, wearing trench coats and hoods, trying to look badass. So he's a fun character to play. Very close range attacking hero because he dual wields shotguns and he has no time to reload those shotguns. Just throws them to the side and picks up some new ones.
That is the most amazing thing. Possibly the most amazing part of the entire game. It's like that character.
Really?
I love the fact that he just throws away his shotguns.
Oh man, Blizzard, put that on the back of the box. The most amazing thing about your game is a reloading animation.
No, but it's the idea that everyone has to reload their thing, and you're like, how are we going to make it look cool? And what kind of? And he's like, nope, just throwing it out and just picking up new ones.
Well, in true Blizzard fashion, as we've been talking about, we talked about how Genji they absolutely nailed the flavor. On McCree, they absolutely nailed the flavor. There's winks and nods and polish and just little touches all over this game. And this is one of them. I looked at Reaper and I saw the cinematic. I'm like, oh, it's a dude with a skull for a face and he yells, die, die, die. And Widowmaker looks like Kerrigan. I don't know about this, guys. I mean, this was an awesome cinematic, but I don't know. But then you play Reaper and you go to reload and you just toss them aside and you can just get a little chuckle. It's just enough of polish that you just go, yeah, man, they know what they're trying to make here and they're doing a fantastic job with it.
It's definitely one that I didn't think I thought was going to be super cheesy. And yes, he is somewhat cheesy, but it really works.
It's an archetype.
But I mean, it's an archetype that is cool enough that I don't know. He's I'm death, and like you can absolutely feel the angry emo teenager behind it. Like it's like I hate everyone, and and yet with him. I don't know. They do it so well when he yells like die, die, die. You're in it with him. I don't know. It works well.
They don't apologize for it. They just run with it. So I dig it. I dig it quite a bit. Let's get into his abilities. His passive is the reaping, and that's when you get a kill, your kill will drop a soul globe, and you can pick that up to restore health. I believe 50. So Reaper can just keep reaping as long as he's getting kills. He can continue to kill because he can heal himself anytime he secures a kill.
So basically, for the attack characters, either they have incredible mobility or they're going to have a way to heal themselves. Or I guess McCree doesn't.
Or they're McCree.
Or they're McCree. Yeah. But both Reaper and Soldier 76, I guess it's just those two, have ways to heal themselves.
Right, but Genji and Pharah and Tracer are highly mobile. Actually, Tracer technically has a way to heal herself.
I guess,
in theory.
If you come back. No, you're right. If it's used well, you jump in and then you recall and you're healed. So yeah you're right. You're right.
Unless you did your life total didn't change within X amount of seconds, then nothing happens to your health as Tracer.
Yes, exactly.
But anyways, back to Reaper. We already talked about his shotguns. They work as shotguns. There's nothing really fancy to say there other than the reload animation is amazing. He also has Wraith form. He goes all smoky and more or less takes a T-pose, like an animation T-pose, and moves towards you. While he's in Wraith form, he's invulnerable. He can't take any damage. He can pass through enemies, so you can just clip right through them. A great way to get behind a turret that's just in the way of a door, get behind a bastion, something like that. But he can't attack while he's doing it. So this is all about just relocating yourself safely to where you want to be to do damage. That's a fantastic ability.
It's super cool, but it's, again, for this one as well, it's very easy to just think, oh, I'm just going to go invincible and just move around. But very quickly, your enemies are going to learn that, when you're doing this, at some point, you're getting out of it, and then you're a duck again.
You're telegraphing. You're just like, I'm moving, guys, and I can't attack you, so follow me to my location and murder me. So you need to be sneaky with it.
Yeah.
So the thing you really need to be sneaky with, however, is Reaper's Shadow Step. You get to mark a destination pretty damn far away, and then you teleport there. However, there's a bit of a wind up to the teleport. He's Reaper really he's theatrical. He takes a lot of pride in crossing his arms slowly across his chest before he teleports. And much like Pharah's barrage, man, I've gotten killed so many times in the middle of a shadow step from Reaper, especially again on Hanamura, where there's that kind of that gap when you're moving from the first checkpoint to the final one inside the giant structure. On the left side, you know what I'm talking about if you're attacking?
Yes, the gap, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've many times shadow stepped across that, and also many times have been caught starting to shadow step across it, and things didn't end well.
Yeah, it's really an ability that is super powerful, but you have to be somewhat careful when you use it. I'm wondering if I can't remember. Can you see the sort of smoky ready, placement target thing? If you're, I think you can even see it.
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable answering that. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
So even if you don't, you start seeing it definitely when the shadow step starts happening, and it takes a good couple of seconds before it's completed. So you really have to be careful that you don't do it right in front of someone's face, or they're just going to shoot you. But on the other hand, it allows you to reach places that no one else can reach except maybe a sniper that is very busy making sure that they're scoping the enemy team, or your team actually. So you can, just like you see in the trailers, shadow step to just right behind an enemy, and they're not going to realize if they're not paying attention, and just actually blow them up completely with a couple of shotgun shots.
So you can absolutely surprise a Widowmaker. Not just because Shadowmaker gets you up to where, or Shadow Step gets you up to where they are, but if there's a corridor leading to them and they placed one of those mines to tip them off that someone's coming up behind them, you can just Shadow Step past it.
Yeah, that too.
So we can really get the drop on a Widowmaker. Now his ultimate should just be called Die, but it is called Death Blossom, and it's a blossom of death.
And it is incredibly, again, the one thing that you're going to want to do when you're first starting out, and that you shouldn't, is Wraith Form Death Blossom. And if anyone has been playing the game for more than a couple of games, they'll know that they shouldn't let you do that. However, if you manage to place the Death Blossom well, if you jump from somewhere in Hanamura, for example, or you position it well, you can absolutely wipe the team in with just one Death Blossom. It also can, actually all of the ultimates can be very satisfying, but that one especially, because you're Death incarnate and you're fulfilling the fantasy of bringing sweet relief from life to all of your enemies that are unworthy of that.
Put in your earbuds, turn on the Cure, you're good to go.
Exactly.
Actually, he strikes me more as like a death metal.
He's a death metal,
fan.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of he's the horns and although he has his own kind of thing, I don't know. He's that it's a human behind it, and there's, I don't know, he's interesting.
Hey man, I don't know. We have giant talking apes, so maybe he's just a lanky gorilla. We don't know.
Well, I don't know what a lanky gorilla is.
It's a gorilla that's skinny and tall, as opposed to Winston, who's a more traditionally sized gorilla. This joke.
No, but we know who he is. He's Shadow Watch Moses.
Did you just say Shadow Moses? Because that's Metal Gear Solid.
No, not Shadow Moses. Shadow Watch. He's the friend from Morrison. We know that from the Origins edition costumes. Don't you know your Overwatch lore?
No, I don't, because there's no story mode, so I'm very indifferent.
Blackwatch Reyes. He's Reyes, and he used to be Morrison's friend, and then they had a falling out, and Morrison, he was the initial leader of the Overwatch team, and then he went out and he formed the Blackwatch, which was kind of a cover tops black operation things, that thing. See?
You can totally see his face.
The chat room knows.
Darn.
Gabriel Reyes. Thank you, AlphaCast.
I forgot.
Oh, AlphaCast. Is it AlphaCast? cool.
Everybody calm down. I forgot about the skins from the Origin Edition.
All right.
Oh, man, that's a dope skin. I like that. I like that a lot. None of them are as cool as the Bastion skin. Maybe Soldier 76's, because if no other reason, because I think the base Soldier 76 is one of the lamest looking things in the game. Just like
this one looks so generic though.
Yeah,
the Morrison. I like Reyes, and by the way, we were saying this. He is a human, and that's how we know. We don't know what happened to him, that he can go in Wraith form and all that crap. But yeah, Slipstream Tracer is cool. Security Chief Pharah, yeah, kind of. I really don't like Overgrown Bastion though.
Really? I love that. Meh. I love the flavor of that so much. But hey, you know,
kind of.
Fine. To each their own, I guess. To each their own. Can we at least agree that the base Soldier 76 looks like an old man running around in his pajamas?
I was with you until pajamas.
They look like pajamas, man. They look like pajamas.
I wouldn't say that, but he definitely is generic. And
again, by design.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're starting to talk about him.
I agree with your characterization of Soldier 76.
Yeah, which we might as well move into discussing him. He is the next hero we're going to talk about.
Just wanted to say before, Reaper is excellent against Winston, and usually he's a good way of taking out tanks because shotguns. Just wanted to mention that.
Yes, they do a lot of damage.
Yeah,
surprisingly formidable at just throwing down against a tank.
Yeah, and not so short range as you might think. They do have a little bit of range.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Soldier 76. He is just the quintessential shooter hero. If you just want an assault rifle and you want to sprint and duck and, well, apparently also heal yourself, which I would say is a little unique, except it just kind of adds to his very generic do everything pretty well kit. But yeah, he's got an assault rifle. It shoots bullets quickly. The alt fire shoots a rocket, which is actually a pretty high damage attack.
I'm going to let you go over everything and then comment. I think there are things to say, but
okay. On shift, you're playing on PC. He sprints. He has a biotic field. He throws an emitter into the ground. It does a rather large AoE heal, not only to himself but to his allies. So I never complain about having a Soldier 76 on my team, because it's nice to have someone that's throwing down damage but can also heal in a pinch. And his ultimate is Tactical Visor, which is going to auto-target the closest threat to you and allow you to pretty much just blow them away. This ult can be very frustrating to be on the receiving end of, because they don't really have to aim. You just have to be in their cone of vision and be the closest thing to Soldier 76, and you'll most likely die if you don't kill him first.
Yeah, that is usually the case. I completely agree. You called him Captain Generic.
Oh,
he is
in the notes,
incredibly generic. I would also call him Captain Noob, which is perfectly fine. He's the easiest character to get into, and he does everything not even kind of well. He does everything well.
Yeah,
his primary fire, his assault rifle is super stable. You can, it doesn't have any. The reticle is relatively small. It's not sniper, but still, it's relatively small. It's easy to aim. The rocket is always something that new players are going to appreciate, because you do some level of splash damage, which makes finishing off an enemy relatively easy. Sprint is familiar. Remember that in this game, you don't have sprint. He's the only character that has that specific ability. Everyone, most of them have other ways, other means of moving around and other movement abilities, but he actually sprints and has no limit on the time he can sprint. He just can keep sprinting around in a circle all day if he wants to.
He's spry in his old age.
He is, for sure. He's got a lot of training. And his heal is a great way for you to be independent, to be able to sustain yourself for a long time without thinking too much. You just, get into an engagement, shoot a couple of guys. Hopefully you kill a couple, then you retreat and you heal yourself. You're good to go again. And obviously, as you said, it heals his allies as well. So it's very useful for your team. It can be incredibly powerful. And the tactical visor is easy mode. So you just, it suffers from the same drawback as McCree's and Pharah's ultimate, which it somewhat makes you a little bit of a sitting duck, although you can move when you're using it. But still, it's very easy. You make sure you're well positioned. You have a couple of enemies in front of you, hopefully not paying too much attention to you specifically. Activate it and keep the button pressed, and you're going to shoot down one or two. So super, you're right. It's somewhat generic. It is also very easy to get into. It's a great entry into the roster of Overwatch, and it's no surprise that they use him or used him in the beta for the tutorial. They really want to funnel you through him, and I think that Tracer, who is the one that has been more exposed to the public for the announcement and the cinematic and all of this, is a lot more difficult. Obviously, she's one of the highest skill cap heroes, so Captain Generic is a good thing to have as well, and hopefully people will start with him to start and understand the basics of the game.
Also, I enjoy Soldier 76. Like calling him generic is just kind of a tease because he's incredibly predictable. Like you look at him and you immediately understand what he brings to the table. Other than healing, that may come as a surprise. But I like playing him quite a bit.
You're right. I think that might not come across in the description. There are very few heroes I don't like playing, but the Soldier 76 is not one of them. He's definitely fun to play. He's not like the kind of hero that you first, he's not a character that is training wheels on and that you never play again afterwards. He's still a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, I dig him. Now let's wrap things up with Tracer, who I have affectionately started just calling the mascot of Overwatch. She more or less is. If Overwatch had a Mickey Mouse, it would be Tracer. Also, be really funny if Mickey Mouse talked in that absurd British accent. But anyways, so she's the quintessential like assassin, really, more or less in this game. She's all about getting behind enemy lines and kind of ending you. She might as well have 2 daggers that she can throw or something. But she doesn't. She has 2 pulse pistols. She dual wields them. They're just fully automatic. I call them pain machines because they're just little mini bullet hoses. They shoot so fast.
Basically she empties the clip in half a second, and then has to reload. But obviously that half a second is going to be a whole lot of damage worth.
Yeah. She's also made of paper. So if you catch a Tracer out, which is incredibly unlikely, pretty easy to kill her. However, the rest of her kit is just completely based around keeping her alive and making her the biggest nuisance in the history of shooters, I think. And by Patrick's smile, I think he's agreeing with me.
Absolutely.
She can blink. She will teleport instantly in the direction that she's traveling. It has 3 charges. Those charges come back pretty darn quick, so blink is almost always available to Tracer.
And when Garrett is saying in the direction that she's traveling, it means you can go sideways, behind, backwards, all of this. It's not just forward.
You can blink in all 4 cardinal directions.
Yeah. Or maybe 8 if you include I don't know if you can.
Diagonally, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if you're like, strafing in a diagonal direction, you will just port in that direction.
So there you go.
So I don't think it goes, no, you're going diagonal. We can't compute. I'm pretty sure it still functions. She also has recall, which returns her. You literally basically rewind time just for yourself because it's a multiplayer game. It would make no sense if you rewinded time for everyone else. You rewind through time to your previous location after X amount of seconds, but you'll also have the exact health and ammo you had at that point in time as well. So as you're playing Tracer, kind of running a clock in your head if you think you're going to use recall. So it boggles my mind as I think I'm reaching the age where you just can't keep track of this stuff in games anymore. I don't know. Is that
you also have a little time. Oh, you mean where you were before you used it? Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so you're always trying to keep mental check of where you were a few seconds before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you develop a kind of an instinctive feeling for it, but it is she's very annoying, but to be played very effectively, she's a high skill character.
Absolutely. Sure. Really, the important thing is you don't want to let too many seconds go by at low health if you're in a fight. Yeah. If you realize that you're below half health and it's been more than 3 seconds, it's probably safe to recall. Heal yourself up.
That's a good way of thinking of it. If you start taking damage, then and it's been 3 seconds, recall. Just recall. It's probably a good time to use.
It's a good kind of I think beginner's tip to playing Tracer. Yeah. Kind of use your health bar as the notice that I should recall. It's not a bad way to start learning her. And then we already talked about her ultimate when we were discussing Genji being a complete and total badass. But it bears repeating. Pulse Bomb is her ultimate. It is a large sticky bomb that does high damage in a pretty good size radius.
Yeah, but she doesn't throw it very far though. That's
her throwing arm.
Killed.
Either that thing's really heavy or her throwing arm could use a little work. I'm going to assume it's pretty heavy though because it looks like a pretty bulky bomb.
Yeah. She's really like it's surprising the first couple of times, and you're probably gonna die of it because you can blow up when it blows up, and it's surprising. She's like, oh right, you're I'm gonna throw my bomb, and you're like, yes, I'm gonna explode everyone who's like 5 meters in front of me, and she's like, and it falls like at your feet, and you're like, what the hell, Tracer? You're like the most athletic person on earth. And
I'm reliving elementary school baseball memories all over again. Thanks, Tracer.
Yeah, so be careful with that. And it also has a very short delay before it explodes. So it's basically built for you to get in, throw it, and then get the hell out super quickly. So it can be extremely panicky to try and get it in because you're like thinking about you're as you were saying, made of paper. You're trying to get into the middle of a fight because obviously you want to make lots of damage. You want to do lots of damage, and you're trying not to die. You're placing it well, hopefully sticking it to someone, and then recalling out. So pressing the right button because you're probably teleporting in, blinking in. So it becomes quite complicated quite quickly. So
I think she's the twitchiest character to play.
Yes,
in definitely. A game that is very not twitchy. It's something I try and explain to anyone who's asking me what Overwatch is about. You know, is it a Twitch shooter? I'm like, no, not really. Most characters move relatively slowly when unaided by something like Blink. Tracer included. When she's just walking around, it's pretty easy to get a beat on her and fight her.
Yeah, for sure. But as we were saying, she makes me think of, she's blinking around all the time, recalling. Hopefully, if you play her well, she's not staying in one corner of the map too long before she moves around and goes to harass another part of your defense or your attack. She makes me think of this, everyone's had that. The incredibly annoying mosquito that you can never actually slap and kill. She is so annoying. It's to the level that I'm almost wondering if there shouldn't be more ways to deal with her, because I'm not sure. Actually, that's probably a failing on my part. I'm not sure which the hard can. Well, actually, yes, I do know. It's almost like when she's around and she's a good. There's a good Tracer around, you just stop bothering and not trying to kill her. You're just managing her and making sure that you don't die to her. So you turn around and, aim at her so that she doesn't stay around for 10 seconds and kill everyone. But you don't chase her. You don't go and actually try to kill her because you're not going to manage, right? So you just let her, and she's an annoyance, and you wave your arm around a little bit just like you would a mosquito, but you're not actually trying to kill her unless, she's really wreaking havoc. And at that point, what I usually do is switch to Winston, and at then you can deal with her because she's never going to kill Winston quickly enough, and his Tesla gun, I can't remember the name, is going to auto-aim Tracer, and she's going to die relatively quickly to that. So unless you have a Winston, there might be other hard counters to Tracer. You don't slap her like the mosquito she is. You just wave your arm around and then, deal with the real threats.
That's definitely the tactic I take with Tracer as well. Because killing her can be so futile if the Tracer knows what they're doing. Again, much like Genji, when I play Tracer, I just die all the time. But
yeah, she's definitely super fun to play though. I feel like there's the skill ceiling on higher characters. When you manage to actually master them, it feels a lot better when you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
So,
no, I understand that. Good hero. Hard, very difficult to master, but I wouldn't let us two older gamers dissuade you from trying to become a total boss with Tracer. So.
Well, I don't know. I'm good with Genji, and he's relatively not as much as Tracer, but somewhat.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, but Tracer is more difficult.
It can be. Yes. If you are a twitchy shooter player, I think you'll like Tracer. So
yeah.
Anyways, Patrick, you brought a discussion topic.
Yes, because there's no news, and I figured we could take 10 minutes to discuss basically a concern or worry that I now have about a potential ranked mode for Overwatch. You mentioned a few episodes ago that you would not understand the game launching without a ranked mode, right? You think it's absolutely mandatory.
Yes.
Okay.
Although Heroes has proven me wrong, the Blizzard will apparently release a game without a proper ranked mode.
Well, so it's sort of related to the frustrations that people have been experiencing with Heroes rank mode. Not exactly though. So here's what the reflection, the conclusion I came to. I've been playing Heroes of the Storm quite a bit in the past few weeks. I've talked about it here and there, and maybe in the past couple of weeks I got into Hero League, which is Heroes rank mode.
Yes. So you reached rank 30 and you had more than 10 heroes.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
And I started playing Hero League, and I sort of, I was having a good time playing the game before that, and I'm still having a good time playing the game now, which includes Hero League. But there's also a lot of frustration that has come from Hero League. Frustration from basically losing games, which I don't feel I was experiencing when I was losing games in quick matches and, or any other mode. So I don't know how much of this is related to the nature of Heroes and the nature of MOBAs in general, but I'm wondering if it's more related to the pressure of having a ranking system and the loss of a game meaning so much more than when you're just doing quick matches. And I've said many times that in Overwatch, I've had a lot of fun and a lot of good times for playing the game in the beta, but I'm realizing now it was basically just a quick match. It was the only thing you could do. There wasn't the added pressure of Hero League, and if your teammates weren't performing so well, then it wasn't such a huge deal. But because you would just switch the next game and it was fine. And so I don't know how much of how much it's related to the nature of the game, how much it's possible to mitigate those issues even if you have a ranked play mode. I have some thoughts, but I'm curious about what you think, Garrett. Would you be wary or worried about a ranked mode in Overwatch? Would you be worried that it would affect the enjoyment of the game, which was pretty high in the beta?
So what you're what you're more or less talking about is that it sounds like it's psychological for you, for lack of a better word. In Heroes you were having a good time in quick match because there were more or less no stakes. You just get in.
So yeah.
And you don't have a rank. You're not really working towards anything that you couldn't work towards in literally any other mode. Like, you can level up your heroes in every mode. You can unlock skins and mounts, tints, and stuff like that. Doesn't matter what mode you're in. But then all of a sudden you move to Hero League, and because there is that rank that is more or less judging you, that a loss feels way worse than it did in quick match.
So yeah, it's kind of that, and it's not like I didn't want something more when I was just doing quick matches. I was just looking forward to Hero League and the big thing, but it wasn't. If you look at things objectively, it wasn't there, and I didn't actively miss it. I still want to get better at Hero League now, but I guess it's the old man's. I miss the simpler times of the past kind of thing, but I wouldn't go back to it. You know, it's not like I want to do away with Hero League, but it's almost this curse where I feel like this is the only serious way to play, like, anymore. It's the only way that is going to be worth it. And the quick matches are just going to be for fun, whatever. So it's not really important. But at the same time, it feels really bad when I lose. And it's not like when I win, you know, it feels good when I win, but it feels a lot less good than it feels bad when I lose, right? Does it make sense?
No, I absolutely 100% understand. And I think for me, I think that's one of the hardest things to do in game development is make those type of experiences work for many different types of gamers. Because at the moment in Heroes of the Storm, the only thing you have in Hero League is your rank. That is the only thing really you're working on, because all the other stuff can be worked on in any other mode. And in Hearthstone, I feel like Hearthstone is where I want to turn the conversation to, because they have small gripes with their rank system. I think they do a good job of giving a wide breadth of players something to work towards in their ranked mode if they're not trying to go to Legend. So I'd like to see Overwatch find that happy medium where you're still inclined to go in rank. Because in Hearthstone, you can hit rank 20. You get a card back. You get a card back every month, and that may be more or less enticing to certain players, but it's still something to work towards that doesn't require a ton of your time. And then on top of that, late last year, middle of last year, they introduced ranked chests, so you can move past 20. And every rank you gain up to level 5 earns you a better chest. At the end of the month, you get some gold cards. That's also great. That's a wonderful addition to Hearthstone. Because otherwise, you had card back at level 20, and everything else was just a number until you hit Legend, and you get to go, woo, I'm the best! Yeah! So I'd like to see, it really, I think, comes down to Overwatch's progression system. If it's fun, if there's other ways to set goals for yourself other than just being the best.
Right, and those could be some kind of in-game currency to unlock things, or something else. We don't know what kind of system they're going to find, but that is also linked to a set end of the season. It might not need to be every month like Hearthstone, but there would need to be at some point a time where they say, all right, season's over. What was your best rank you achieved? Here's what you get. Right. Maybe they're going to find a completely different way of handling it as well. But it's interesting that you're bringing up Hearthstone, because I'm not the best Hearthstone player. I think the best rank I've ever achieved was 10 or 9, but that was, when I was hardcore into it.
Yeah.
Usually I'm more around 15, 13.
That's still not bad. I believe over past 15 is top 25%.
Right. Okay. So, but yeah, I used to play a lot, but I guess in Heroes, I sometimes get to 30. I've done it for 2 weeks, so it's not a large sample, but I get to 38 and then I come back down. So maybe it feels bad because I feel like I'm with the very beginners. I feel like I'm with the worst players there is because everyone gets to, 38, 39, because you can't lose points before 40. So
Right.
basically the worst players are there. And if I could get to 35 or 31, maybe I would be okay with it. Right. So maybe that's the reason.
I can tell you personally, I'm up in like 15, and I have the exact same feeling. If I could just get to 10 or 5, I'd stop playing with these plebeians.
No, I understand this, but I'm basing this on my experience with Hearthstone, where I'm happy with a rank 15 or 14. Of course, I want to do better, but it feels like I'm not with the worst players.
Right.
Whereas in Heroes,
I think part of that too is 1v1 experience versus a team versus team experience. In Hearthstone, yes, it is you. It is all on you, and that can be both a positive and a negative. If I've never hit Legend in Hearthstone. I have a very hard time doing it, and that weighs on my ego as a gamer. It's something I would like to achieve, and since it is just 1v1, there is nothing else I can point to and say that's the problem. No, I'm the problem. Although I guess I could be like, well, if I just drew really bad for a bunch of games.
I just drew really bad for the 50 games I played.
Right, exactly. By the way, if you can hit Legend in 50 games, you're a god.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I think that plays a heavy role into it. I was talking about this, about why does it feel so bad and we're going to go back to Overwatch. I really want to bring it back to Overwatch in just a second, but I was talking with different people about why does it feel so bad to lose in Hearthstone? And I think in Heroes. And I think it touches on something that you just mentioned. You're not alone in the team. So basically, you feel like you're not in control of your destiny. You are not the one responsible for
the bigger picture.
For whether or not you're going to win. So when sometimes the game was well played and you did everything you could, but I guess because we're humans, a lot of the times we feel like it's everyone else's fault and we did everything we could, and you're not in control. You lost because of something you couldn't do anything about. So I think obviously there are drawbacks to being the one factor like it is in Hearthstone, but the drawback for being a team is huge in it feels to me, because you feel horrible because you're just getting hammered, and there's nothing you can do. You can walk around the entire map. You can try and be kind to your teammates and tell them and try and suggest things to do or ask for help, ask for directions. If it doesn't work out, there was nothing you could have done and you lost anyway. Cue Overwatch. It's a team game. We could be in a very similar situation. And I'm hopeful that we're not going to be, for a number of reasons. Let me go over them and tell me what you think.
Okay.
There are a couple of things. First of all, the nature of the game itself is very different from a MOBA. A MOBA is, even Heroes, it's very complex. You have, let's say, 3 to 5 things to worry about at the same time at any point of the game. You have the objective, depending on the map in Heroes. You have the lanes. You have the mercs, the merc camps, and you have the enemies, obviously, that you have to worry about. Am I going to go in the team fight? Am I going to keep pushing? All of this. And in the team fight itself, it's like the biggest complicated thing you can do. In Overwatch, it's not as complicated. Basically, you have one objective that you probably should be worrying about. It's mobile. It's either a payload or a different point that you have to capture, but it's usually one objective. And the other thing is the structure of the game is relatively simple. You have your tanks, your healers, your attack, your defense. It's after maybe 10 games, you're probably, not everyone, but more people than in Heroes are going to get the gist of what they should be doing. So the structure of the game itself, I'm hoping, is going to be easier to funnel people. It's going to make it easier to funnel people into what they should be doing, because there's basically one thing they should be doing. And, the objective, and then the way you handle the team fight.
I think the game, just from the small experience I've had with it in the beta, is doing that. The maps aren't massive. There's not a whole lot of places to go and fart off and not help. You can, even if you're just killing people, you have to try really hard to kill people and not be helping the objective, because people that aren't in the fight, that's helping the objective. And like I said, the maps are so small that you're just incidentally helping the objective.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think that's going to help. And, when the stress test weekend happened during the beta, there were, for the first 24 hours, a bunch of people that weren't, there was the payload and everyone was off fighting the other team, like ways away from the payload. And I kept telling people, hey guys, we should be playing at the payload. That's the point of the game. If we don't push it, we're going to lose. Haha. And first 24 hours, it didn't work. After a while, people got it, and it seemed to get better. I'm not sure how it's going to work out once the game is released, but it seemed to be better. Of course, you're always going to have assholes that don't want to do it, but
those assholes.
They're so annoying. The other thing, which I think really works, and that could be implemented in other games as well, I honestly think, is all the things around the game where the game pushes you to have a positive and non-toxic attitude. It might be subtle things like you can choose whatever heroes in multiples, that's going to be okay. So you don't have that annoying person that took your hero and they won't get off it. And that is a small part of it. I think we could survive without it, but still. But more importantly, the end of the match really encourages you to recognize what cool things other people did. It could be other people in your team, which, again, if you see how things go in MOBAs, it's not because it's your team that you're going to be friendly with them. Probably the opposite. But the cards that you can actually give basically a thumbs up to, because whoever was on fire for a long time, or whoever healed for a lot of the enemy's damage and all of that, and the play of the game, which actually shows you, it's easy to make fun of it and say, oh, it's a Torbjorn turret that took out 3 people. Ha ha ha, play of the game sucks.
Hey man, that was my last play of the game before the beta closed, was me ulting and keeping my turret alive during the most insane push I had seen on Hanamura. Okay, and I even got a kill with my crappy smelter gun in the middle of that, and I felt like a boss. Don't take that away from me.
The thing is, when the turret kills people, the camera for the play of the game is still on Torbjorn, so it's happened more than once that the play of the game was Torbjorn dying, and it became the play of the game because the turret was killing people, half the map away.
Right. That is hilarious.
But yeah, so the play of the game is going to show you, hey, that person that might be you and might not be you did something really cool. So there are other players in this game that do cool things. And same with the cards, the cards show you other people that did cool things, and it encourages you for no reason of anything to just say, good job, I'm going to cast my vote for you.
Yeah.
And so all of this, I think, really encourages a positive attitude, and it makes you feel good even if you're losing. If you're talking about the structure of the game, it's also, the average game is 8 minutes, I think. So it's also a lot faster if you lose than whatever. I'm going to go on to the next one. So all of this put together creates a very positive, I don't want to say very positive, but more positive atmosphere than I've seen in any other competitive games. And I've seen multiple times during the beta people saying, oh, those cards are stupid. I don't want to have, everyone gets a medal. I want to know exactly how many people I've killed and how many times I've died and compare it to other people. And we've said this a couple of times, but if the flip side of this is creating the toxic behavior, I really don't want it. Just go be your lead self in another game. I'm very happy with having less information. Ideally, you would have all the information you can and a positive attitude, right? If we could, then that's what we would get. But
right. It's not necessarily not everyone in the world who just wants all the stats are toxic people.
No, of course. Yeah, no, I don't want to imply that.
Yeah, but at least our anecdotal experiences, that type of information tends to lead to that type of community.
Exactly. And so I'm wondering if these elements aren't going to make even a hero league or, a competitive ranked play in Overwatch maybe a little bit less toxic and maybe a wider reflection. Would it be possible to implement these kinds of things in other games, things like heroes amongst others?
Oh, I mean, a commendation system of some type in heroes has been something I know Kyle and I have been asking for on Into the Nexus for a long time now. Because at the moment, all you can do is lodge a complaint about a player. I would love to lodge a compliment about a player. I'd love to be like, no, that person was an awesome tank. Good job tanking. Good job healing. I'd like to be able to give that thumbs up as opposed to only have the option of giving a thumbs down and reporting someone.
Something like the card system at the end of the match in Overwatch, I think it would make people feel better. I don't know.
I think so too, because like you're reeling after the loss, and that comes up. Although yes, it can still happen in Overwatch. You can still be angry about your loss. I'm not saying that this is guaranteed to make you feel better, but it's definitely a step towards making you just take a break and be like, oh wow, that Mercy did a lot of healing. Okay, thumbs up, man, good job. But I mean, there's no perfect system, but I definitely like the direction Overwatch is heading in. It seems unique. It seems conducive to a positive environment. I like it. Also, like the joke I've been making all through, like I'm getting older. I kind of like that Overwatch seems to be a much more approachable shooter for someone like me who is probably, honestly, I think I've moved on from the days of Counter-Strike and Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible to be competitive and to have a fun time with a game. I don't think the two are completely mutually exclusive.
I don't think so either. But case in point, Hearthstone. That is a game that is just goofy. Yeah. It is,
but it's not team based. So
right.
I think there's really a divide that happens once you get other people in the mix, and you have to rely on a team to achieve stuff. But yeah, for the way Overwatch puts it, I think is the best example of fostering a positive attitude in a multiplayer game that I've seen yet. And there was a lot of positivity in Hearthstone as it was being developed, and as it was really trying to make, it's silly things like you can't chat, period. Yeah, back when it first came out, it wasn't necessarily obvious that would be a good idea. Or, I mean, that it was even possible. People would think that you're playing against someone, you should have to chat. And they were like, nope, it's just not going to happen at all, ever.
Love it.
So
I love that. I love that idea so much.
Yeah. And even with that, people, sometimes
they'll friend you afterwards
and insult you
and yell at you. And
yeah. But so, yeah, anyway, there is this little worry that I have for the ranked mode in Overwatch. I'm hoping that the structure of the game and the steps that the team has taken are going to prevent that. And again, commendation system in other games, heroes, that would be awesome, because when you lose, you're just left with the salt in your tears, and that's all you have. So,
or in the case of me, the salt in your blood.
The salt in your tears and the iron in your blood.
No, my whole body is just powered by salt at this point when it comes to heroes.
That's what I understand.
Anyways, I think it's going to do it for this episode. I'm really hoping, Patrick, we're going every other week now with the show, that when we next sit down, which actually in 2 weeks, are you going to be capable of podcasting? Will we be like mid-move or anything?
Hopefully, by the time I land, it's going to be possible to podcast. So hopefully, yes. If it's not, I'm going to have many more problems than just not being able to do Overwatch, because it's my Overwatchers, because it's my living.
That's your living, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully it will be good. And I really hope we have something to talk about, because if there isn't, I don't know that we're going to do a show. There's absolutely no news. I mean, we could wrangle something out of our minds, yes. But
we'll just check in on how you're doing in Hero League.
That could be an interesting
Worst
discussion.
Overwatch podcast ever. Doesn't talk about Overwatch. Follow us on Twitter at OverwatchCast. You can email us at mailoverwatchers. That's MAIL overwatchers at gmail.com. And subscribe to us on iTunes and youtube.com/AMoveTV. Also, if you're listening to us on iTunes, drop us a 5-star review if you like the show. It helps us out a lot. So this week, let's thank Stove User, Bevenge, very fun name, and Dillith Azure Mist. So
let me see if there is a review on the French iTunes store.
Ooh, real time looking up reviews.
If there isn't one, I'm going to be sad. Oh, there isn't one.
Oh,
well,
damn you!
If you want to,
French,
English
English-speaking French listeners.
Well, you can go put one up if you want to.
Yeah, we would appreciate it. Thank you. So that's going to do it for this week. Patrick, where can folks find you?
Twitter and Facebook. I'm not Patrick on both. And of course, on FrenchSpin.com, you'll find Pixels, which is a general gaming news show, and the Phileas Club, where we talk about news from around the world with different people from different countries. That's actually a really fun show. So you can listen to both at FrenchSpin.com.
Despite what you may think, hearing me describe it, it's actually not terrible.
It's not. People might think it's super serious and kind of depressing. It's a bunch of people having a good time and discussing different ways of looking at the world. So that's actually more fun than you might think.
I agree. I would recommend folks listen to it. I enjoy it. You can find everything I do at amove.tv, including this show. You can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt. And if I had to promote one specific thing this week, go check out Let's Talk About Star Wars, it's the newest podcast I'm a part of with Tom Merritt and Jenny Josephson, where we do exactly as the title implies. We talk about Star Wars. So go give that a listen. That's going to do it for this episode of Overwatchers. Until next time, good luck and have fun, everyone.